To tell you the truth, I don't even know how to make this video, but I've been wanting to make it for a long time. Identity. Now, the last great divide of my parents' age and my grandparents was both really material. Socialism or capitalism, Marxism or neoliberal Thatcherism. Both of those are material ideologies that really focus on money and distribution and things like that, but that's got nothing to do with our time. The question of our time is identity. And I regret to say that in this new century, in this new age, I find myself on the opposite side of this new divide from easily over 95% of Celtic nationalists, like Welsh nationalists, Scottish nationalists, Sinn Féin. I'm not on the same side of this divide as them. My patience has finally broken. But what was it that finally snapped it? What was the last straw? Let's go back. That's the flag of Illinois, where I discovered Welsh history. And I began reading about it. I'm still sick. And that was the year 2004, I think. By 2005, I had certainly begun learning the Welsh language. 2006, going into 2007, audio tapes, focusing on one day coming here. I came to England for the first time, and then to Wales. 2009, I was actively teaching myself Welsh as something that I could do seriously. Let's go through the years a bit. 2013. That's when I began my university course to study the Welsh language. And Gwynedd it's salty, it's bitter, it's rugged, barren, a brutal, harsh kind of beautiful, huddled for warmth in little crevices. But it's beautiful. You just have to know how to look at it, how to appreciate it. And once you see it, once you are able to see that beauty, you'll never let it go. It'll always shape you. That in the most harsh of landscapes, you can find a resourcefulness to create joy and warmth, and that it creates a coziness between cycles of wind and sleet. But let's get into this. The straws that were consistently broken, that finally led me to say, look, Welsh nationalists, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do my thing and you'll have to do yours. I went to university, Bangor, Gwynedd. A wonderful experience. Now I looked at it almost like a profession. I was like, well, I'm coming in here to do what exactly? Maybe I'd like to go further into academia. I wasn't really sure yet where I wanted to go. So I thought, well, activism for the language is kind of part of the essential CV or career path. Well, okay. And I love the Welsh language, so why not? It's just a natural thing that you do, isn't it? If you care about something, you defend it. So I contacted Cymdeithas yr Iaith. And I met a fellow in the basement of a restaurant. I think we had some chips and cheese or something. A nice, decent fellow. But there was a flicker in my mind. It was like there was a demeanor. Kind of it was almost like he was like dressed in almost like a 1960s militant protest chic kind of way. Not that I'm trying to insult the fellow, he was kind to me. But I registered that in my subconscious as like, I've not been around, like the jacket with the badges and things like that. That seems a bit antiquated to me, that kind of social justice thing. But I thought, well, this man is friendly to me. I'll hop along and see how it goes, and so I ignored it. I'm not going to judge by that. I registered it and let it go. I ignored it. As a member of Bethesda, I did go to a couple protests, and one of them, there was this man walking around with a flag, a big flag, of communist symbol, a hammer and sickle. I mean, these two flags are as evil as each other. In fact, at least the Nazis are going to tell me that they want to kill me for my religion. The Marxists will kill me whilst starving my family for being aspirational to grow their own food, while sending me to a labor camp to die in Siberia, and say that it's for the betterment of equality and social justice. So, is the one who says that he's evil and is evil worse than the one who is evil but says he's good? So these two, these communists and Nazis, I don't really see much difference in gradation of evil, but inside something, the communist is actually worse. So I distanced myself from it. I was like, well, I don't want to be around that at this protest. And I did notice that Plaid Cymru, the fellow, whoever he was, the political party fellow, he wasn't near the communist fellow. So it was like, okay, I'll ignore that. It doesn't look like that's the main part of this. I love this language. I want to help fight for it. So I'll ignore that. By 2015, I had joined Plaid Cymru, certainly. I think it joined it either the year before, maybe. And I noticed things which I was like, well, I'm not really into that, but I'll keep my membership for now. Just because I want to support the Welsh language and the Welsh nation. So I went and studied, I was studying, and I focused on reading instead. I read dozens of novels. I wanted to read as many Welsh language novels as I could. And I began to notice something in 2015, certainly that year. The heroes, or the people that I felt should be heroes, the nobility, the landlords, the men of business, the heroes of war, like the men who you felt you should aspire to be more like, who should make us create a better society, by caring for the people. These were being pit as the bad guys, the villains of these stories almost, in negative tropes and stereotypes of the bad capitalist or the Shire Tory aristocrat who's siding with some kind of evil that doesn't really exist. The man of war who comes back shattered and broken and is just a shell. I realized that there was something wrong there. And so I thought, I'm here to learn about the language. I don't want to make a judgment. I don't want to get into a political argument over that. So I turned sharply into medieval Welsh and earlier Welsh stuff before all this modernity nonsense. So I ignored it. (2016). This was the year of the Brexit referendum, and you might think that I would have sided against Plaid Cymru and the Welsh Nationalist on Europe. No, I agreed with them, but I quickly realized I agreed with them for a completely different reason. I was looking and listening to Guto Beb, a Tory member of Parliament, a Conservative, and reading Saunders Lewis. And for Guto Beb, this was purely economical, really. And for Saunders Lewis, it was the inheritance of our Western heritage and the root spring of our nobility and the ecclesiastical traditions, the influence of French upon our language, upon our culture. Old French, that's what I wanted Europe for. We are part of the grandeur of Western civilization, our inheritance. This civic nationalism had nothing to do with it. It's completely irrelevant. And that's what Plaid Cymru was pushing. And it was like, well, that's got nothing to do with the glory of being a Western European nation. Being part of Rome, with the inheritance of Greece, Judeo and Christian values, those kinds of things, that ethos. Rather than fall out in disagreement over our agreement, I said, I'll ignore it. It was not that much of a disagreement, but it hinted at something deeper. I had a great honor in being able to study at Cambridge, and yet there was a sense of relief in going there that I didn't expect. That I could finally appreciate conservative thinkers, classicism, classical aesthetics, beauty, without these ideas of workers' strikes or protest identity. That was never me. And so I was overjoyed, even though I suffered a tragedy personally in my personal life there. And yet it was just too English for me. I mean, I love English humor. English comedy is the best in the world. But English culture can be just too stuffy when you've got too much of it for too long. So I wanted to come back to Wales, and I was even a bit of a kind of a Welsh language activist at Cambridge, which, looking back, it's a bit embarrassing. But I did sense relief. I learned about people like Joe Grimond. But I ignored that relief because I felt that I didn't want to betray this passion that I had. I put so much work into this. So I ignored it and came back to Wales. Now, 2017 going into 18, there was a Kurdish Welsh rally, protest or something, a march, it was a march, through the centre of Cardiff, Caerdydd. And I wanted to go along, I wanted to support that because I believe in Kurdish independence. It's good for Western interests, it's good for the United States, it's good for Israel, it's good for Britain, and certainly by extension of those three cultures and our Western inheritance, it's good for Wales. If Kurdish people win their independence, we have a country between the Arab ethno-nationalism and the Iranian regime and the neo-imperialist Turks, which can only be good for us. So I wanted to support that, but I quickly felt threatened. Now I need to go back. 1999. That's back. What about even further? I think that was the year. I was in a church. a krut, a toddler. And I knew when I looked up at the cross and when I looked up at Moses, Moses was who I followed, not Jesus. You with me? I kept that across my whole youth and let it direct me in what I believe. And in 1999, my friend was Jewish. 2001. Yes, that year. I lived with a Jewish man who was sort of an older brother. I stopped eating pork. I became closer with Judaism. So flash forward. Back to Gwynedd. We're not going quite back to Cardiff yet. I was alone over the summers and the winter holidays because everyone around me had families to go to. Even some of the ones that were from abroad, they could go home, but I'm from a broken home. Where do I go? So I tried going to a church. It's not me. I needed a synagogue. So I felt very isolated. I felt disconnected. Because going back to the conflict of our century, it is identity. We're not materialistic as the middle of the 20th century. We're seeking, internationalism versus nationalism. That's the struggle of our time. And so, keeping that in mind, that I was never geared towards going to a church but a synagogue, and going back to Cardiff. And I went into this march, and there's flags everywhere. Flags which I'm instinctively feel like that's a bit threatening to me. I don't even know what that is, but it's aimed at me. I felt threatened by whatever those flags were. Not the Kurdistan flag. Totally cool with that. You are our friends. You are our military allies. I support a free Kurdistan. But these Arab nationalist flags, I wasn't cool with that. And I kind of backed off. I felt threatened. I thought, well, these things, these flags and stuff, I don't know anything about that. So I ignored it. I joined Plaid Cymru again after I had tried joining the Conservatives briefly, but there wasn't much going on. I went back and joined Plaid Cymru, and it was divided, it was factionalized, it was lots of petty bickering. So I went and tried to speak to Leanne Wood. Now, I should have mentioned before that during the whole Brexit thing, this woman was obsessed with radicalism, using ANC type language, post-colonialism. I mean, it's got nothing to do with what I'm here for. And I went to meet her. She was kind enough to meet me, but she didn't even address anything I said. She burst into a rant about beating the far right. And I was like, well, that's got nothing to do with Welsh independence or any reason why I'm here. It's irrelevant. And I just walked away from that meeting feeling very condescended and belittled too. In this progressive ideology of this woman. I knew there would be a leader after Leanne Wood and I could come back to Plaid Cymru, so I ignored it. In 2019, I had left Plaid Cymru. I was gonna wait around a bit because it was getting a bit, and so I tried out Yes Cymru, a political, non-political group for Welsh independence. And there were some good people there. However, I began to notice this tilt towards Sinn Féin and anti-landlordism and just, radical leftism, openly Marxist type stuff, which to me, Marxism is not okay. It's led to the death of more people than any ideology in the history of mankind. It's evil. And then they had this guy, this Irish guy. I'm not disrespecting the Irish language. I'm sure he and I both agree that the Irish language deserves respect and dignity, and that more people should speak it across Ireland. Tithe, this comedian fella, I find his sketches to be insulting, demeaning, prejudiced, hateful, full of envy and resentment, basically mocking and belittling anybody who's vaguely, slightly not into this progressive left-wing worldview. It's just full of, it's hatred. That's the only word for it, it's hatred. And I didn't want to be a part of Yes Cymru if that kind of person is not just part of it, but being given a stage to speak at these events. I don't want to be a part of that. So I thought, well, I'll focus on my career until things die down. So I ignored it. In 2020, I had fallen severely ill and lost my job at a law firm. Or rather, been forced to leave. But that happens in life. Anyway, I was running out of money. I didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't just go back to America. I didn't really have enough money to go back to America. And that's another catch-22. What if you've moved here and you don't actually have the physical money to go back to America? What do? So I called up my friend Gwilym in Gwynedd, who I shared a lot of good times with at Bangor. He wasn't a student there, but a local. And he had a room for me, and I'm grateful for that. In Bethesda. Then Corona hit. We all know that was a bad time. And I fell off a waterfall and broke my heel and ankle. I wasn't sure if I would ever walk again. It was that bad. And we were sitting at the table one day. And he noticed that I don't touch meals with pork in them, even plates with that on them. I won't eat it. I won't do it. And he asked me, "Are you a Jew?" And I don't think he meant it. I don't think he was insulting me. I don't think it was an intentional, visceral anything. But there was a little tinge. I just felt stung. I felt stung a bit. But here's the thing. There's different laws defining what a Jew is. At that point, I couldn't legally, by rabbinic law, whether it's Reform, Masorti, Orthodox, whatever spectrum you're part of, I couldn't rabbinically say that I was at that point. So I said no. And I hesitated a bit. I felt like my throat was blocked because it hurt. It hurt to say no. And that shocked me. That shocked me more than that little sting. That's one of the 3 things that happened in Bethesda. And so I kind of retreated into my room. I kind of fell back into myself. And I began learning more about Judaism. And turning to God for strength. If nobody's going to actually help me, I'll turn to God. Fine. And when I say help me, I don't mean materialistic help. I mean just people. That's it. And the second thing that happened is I was walking back from my friend's house on the other side of Bethesda. Well, limping back. This was a few months later. I had crutches. And this guy came up to me, like preaching socialism or something, like talking about the workers, and I was like, "What's wrong with you? Like, that's not normal. Why are you talking to me like that way? Why is that the first thing that you're talking about? It's like a religion, you know? Like, I'm not gonna walk up to you and start talking about Joseph and his multicolored coat." So why are you walking up to me and talking about your red flags and socialism as if that's remotely acceptable? And I realized in my state I couldn't really pick a fight with the guy because I was barely able to walk. I was limping and hobbling. So, I was nice actually to him, and I just kind of let him know, look, I don't want to know about your socialist views. Not everybody believes in that kind of thing. For me, it's not the 1920s anymore. It's not really the dumb thing. He was taken aback by that, I think, but we walked a bit on friendly terms and went our ways. But after that, I had to think over, like, why did that just happen? Why did that guy think it was normal? And in this place, is that genuinely normal? Like the Jew thing, the stinging. I ignored that because I thought, well, he's probably never met a Jew, which is, I didn't realize it at the time, but many people in Wales have never even met a Jew. Like, what? Like, okay, there's a lot more Jews in America. I couldn't even imagine never having met a Jew. That's crazy. So I let that go. I ignored it. And with a socialist guy, I was like, well, he's just one guy. Don't dwell on it. Just ignore it. But I was not going to go back to Plaid Cymru at this point. Because they were growing even more radical in some ways. So I was experimenting with the Conservatives, the Tory party. I want aspiration. I want a successful life. I've been fighting for that my whole life. And the Conservatives were the only ones actually talking about helping me help myself, not just giving me something. And I think Gwilym saw that on my social media or something, that I was going through like a curious about the Tories stage. And then I was downstairs one day and he put like this coaster on the table. And I still can't believe it. I'll explain it. This says, Nid oes Tory in a tu hwn. There's not a Tory in this house. Now, you need some context, because this is like a cultural thing. Look at this one. Nid oes bradwr in a tu hwn. There is not a traitor in this house. So way back before this, like 120 years ago or something, 1900 to 1903, there was this massive quarry strike in Bethesda where, I mean, it was horrific. It was horrible. Like the town split into opposing sides and people were driven out for wanting to feed their families or being willing to break the strike. There's cases of families who never returned to Wales, and cases of families 120 years later who still won't even speak to each other. It's horrible. It's like medieval, like witch hunts type stuff where people wrote this on their doors, like there is not a traitor in this house. It's like, seriously, someone should make a horror movie about it. Like, it's terrifying what happened. And the fact that he put this on the table, like a coaster, a drink coaster with this written on it, I laughed. That was the only reaction I could come up with, because even subconsciously I couldn't believe that someone could take something like that seriously. And the way that he looked at me, my friend, I was like, oh, so you think I'm a traitor because I have a different political opinion, or that I'm going through a stage of exploring a different political opinion than you? Like, what's that got to do with the Welsh language, which is what I came here for? And by the way, historically at least, the Tories were more supportive of the Welsh language than the Labour Party in the mid-20th century. And I didn't know how to cope with it. I thought it was just unreasonably childish. So I forced myself to believe that it was a joke. And so I ignored it. No, he couldn't possibly be bringing up a workers' strike from 1901 or whatever to make a political point in 2020 and then taking it seriously. Like, what? But I think he was serious, which is like, that's crazy. I really got into the Judaism stuff. If I wasn't gonna have like a Welsh nationalist circle, if I wasn't gonna be able to go into my political interests, which I'm still interested in political stuff, I love it, then well, I'll turn to God. And that will be where I get my help. And that's Judaism. And it worked, and my life got better, like crazy amounts of better. The YouTube channel began to grow. I began to stabilize. I saved up loads of money. My health improved. And that's what I did through 2021, 2021. We all wish it was 20 years ago, right? 2022. And I had this stack of money, and it was like, what do I do with it? I was like, well, I don't really want to stick around in the north. I really like South Wales a lot better. Even though there's not the density of Welsh speakers, there's actually more in the south. I just like that it's a bit more urban in the south, maybe. But more it's the attitude of the people. The coast faces south, so there's more sunlight. It's a bit more cheery. And I began doing the synagogue thing. And then I officially began the conversion to Judaism, really finishing what I began over 20 years ago. 25 years ago. Dude. And as I went into that conversion, an army of barbarian savages who were also the military enemies of America, Wales, the UK, France, any civilized Western nation, invaded Israel, burned babies in ovens as their parents watched, before slitting the man's throat as they raped the woman, whilst being on the phone to their parents, celebrating they had killed 10 Jews, and the mother saying, "Why haven't you killed more?" That's not like going in as part of a platoon of a civilized country as an army. We're talking about like a barbarian invasion with the most grotesque, torturous forms of violence imaginable, filming it on GoPros and then celebrating it in ecstatic joy. And what did Plaid Cymru and the Welsh Nationalists do? And the SNP and Sinn Féin, what did Plaid Cymru, the Llywydd, the Speaker of our Senate, our Parliament, do? She refused to fly the Israeli flag, our own military ally and civilizational friend, against the forces of darkness in jihadism. Refused to fly the flag of our ally, Israel, on the worst day for Jews since the Holocaust. And maybe even if then I could figure out some way to ignore that and say that it was just her, or just that manifestation of Plaid Cymru, not the next one to come or the one before it. You know, parties change, or not even the whole movement of Welsh nationalism. But what came next was an ecstatic wave of Jew hatred. What do they think From the River to the Sea means, as members of Plaid Cymru gathered in a church to hear it being sung? That could be nothing less than the death of 7 million Jews at the hands of these savages. And then Plaid Cymru members tearing Israeli goods off shelves, the only kosher products in Wales that Jews need to eat in order to follow their religion. And almost every Plaid Cymru member regularly showing solidarity with Palestine, whatever that even means, when the group that Israel are fighting are some of the most evil people in the history of mankind, who openly say they want to subjugate our women, erase our legal institutions, and forcefully convert us to Islam. And Plaid Cymru are siding with these people? Not a word of condemnation, when for over 2 years, hate mobs were in our streets. I had to hide in a coffee shop. Or I didn't hide, I just sat there, but streams of people yelling basically for the death of Jews walking by outside. Twice that happened to me. A man on the train. Not to mention, I mean, just the horrors in Manchester on Yom Kippur. The needlessness. And yet, nothing about the loss of Armenia, an indigenous people in the lower Caucasus region pushed out by Azerbaijanis who are not even native to West Asia. Not a word of condemnation. Not a word of condemnation for dozens of atrocities. Nothing about the Mexican cartels killing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of innocent people over the years. Not a word against the crimes of Cuba. Not a word against Boko Haram capturing innocent girls in Nigeria. And yet every weekend, every week, Plaid Cymru members being against Israel. And Kerry Harper, she actually came out with torches and the Arab flag, the Arab nationalist flag, which is what the Palestine flag is. Like torches, literally it looked like a Nazi gathering. Fire all around her as she basically screamed that Israel is some kind of British colonial project. When have you ever heard of the Stroma? A ship that launched out of Romania during World War II. And the British turned it back. Yes, they turned back thousands upon thousands of Jews, and they ended up being killed by the regime of Nazi Germany because they weren't allowed to go to their own homeland. So yeah, I think that's the final straw. I'm done with Welsh nationalism. I don't know what that means for me in the future, what that means for this channel. I've thought about going back to America, but what would I go back to? Like I said, I don't really have anything to go back to. Yeah, I've thought about Israel. I don't think so, though. Not now. But Welsh nationalism and me are dumb. Doesn't mean I don't love this country. I adore it, and this language. But I'm not going to help you in your fight anymore. You know, well, I ignored it. I ignored the communist symbols. I ignored the joining in league with Arab nationalism in the UK. I ignored the Sinn Féinism. I ignored the hatred of entrepreneurs, shire aristocrats, and noblemen. I ignored that. I ignored the petty squabbles of carrying on a strike from 100 years ago. I ignored the anti-aspirationalism. But what it boils down to is identity. Welsh nationalists and Celtic nationalists generally have chosen the internationalist side of this century's divide, and I've chosen the other side. I believe in the nation. I believe in the nation state. I believe that the ethnic component is essential to the nation state. Not that we can't have minorities, of course we can. But what they hate really is that Israel is a Jewish state. That's what they hate. Not that they're Jews, but that they are an ethnicity with their own state. The Japanese have Japan. Welsh should have Wales. But I repeat, I want there to be minorities. But it seems that Plaid Cymru, along my journey in Welsh nationalism, that they are aligning with everything, or one, or people, that can be a wedge to put into Western civilization and break it apart. I'm not going to align with that. I love the West. I love our Judeo and Christian heritage. I love our Greco and Roman inheritance, our Germanic legal systems. I love that. And if that's the side of the divide that Celtic nationalists, not just Welsh nationalists, have chosen, then we're not on the same side.